Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everyone, this is Mark Scribner. I'm your host of the Shrimp Tank, where book smarts and street smarts collide. Have some guests today, actually three. This is different parts of the country. They're going to be talking about their company. It's called Amptek. I think you're going to like what they're doing. Very cutting edge type of stuff in our digital age that we're doing right now. I would like to remind all our listeners that you can find this show on Google, Stitch, Apple, basically anywhere you can get your podcast. You can follow the show. We'd love to get your followership. Just hit that smash and notification button that will alert you to future shows. We are in 13 cities across the country and also now in Canada, so the reach is pretty good. In Boston, at least, our show is the #1 entrepreneur show and podcast. So we've had some amazing guests, and today will be the same. With that said, I'd like to introduce the folks from Amptek. They are in the video headshot space, and I stumbled upon them and got to talk with these folks offline because I liked how they were doing some of these video headshots in LinkedIn, and a lot of these formats have become really muted and stale, and you don't separate yourself anymore from these platforms. And these folks kind of came up with an idea as a startup, and now starting to build out this business with their concept of video headshots and a whole bunch more. So with that said, folks, welcome to the Shrimp Tank today.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
So let's talk about Amptek. Let's try to get into the maybe you could explain for our listeners like what your service is, and then how you think it's really helpful. I don't know, whoever wants to go first is fine.
We draw straws.
I'll say you go first.
All right. I actually think Heather says it best. You know, the opportunity came. Everyone knows that you need to have a video online these days, but a lot of people are hesitant, even though we can make a video using our phone. The technology's there, but people are still, don't know what to say and all that. But especially on LinkedIn, now that for people that aren't aware, you can now upload a video right into the circle where your picture is. So you have a little profile picture that everyone's used to, but now you can put a video right in there. So that was kind of the impetus for us to create this company. But long story short, you have on LinkedIn and everywhere else, people can see what you do because there's your picture and there's, Mike, CEO of XYZ company, and then there's a little blurb usually, but like, who are you? That's what we're solving with the video.
And why is that? So is it the whole idea is really to more give the viewers the personalities and whether or not I guess more color than just a typical biographical outline of what's there. Is it's meant to connect with people, and video does that. Is that the approach?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So video headshot, people know what a headshot is. Video headshot, even if it's as simple as seeing what you're like. We're not concentrating so much on getting a perfect elevator pitch or scripting what you do. It's not about it's not as simple as just saying what you do in a video format. It's capturing who they are, and that's what's different about what we're doing, and that's what's been taking. That's where our innovation comes into play.
And it makes people excited to get to meet you. Like they find out something about you that your CV doesn't say, and then they're like, oh, I gotta ask him about this when we have our coffee chat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get a connection beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And what are some of the industries that you've found that you've been working with that people are having aha moments? Like, is it insurance people? Like, what are some of the initial feedback from some of the clients of what you're getting?
Yeah. So definitely a big focus has been on anyone in professional sales. And it's kind of all over the place. I mean, you have some people that are naturally charismatic, who just don't want to be, they want someone to talk to, because our process relies on having a conversation to film your video instead of just turning on the camera and trying to come up with something.
So that's interesting. So what you do,
Yeah.
because I think that would be, for most people, they don't know what the arc of that should look like. So if someone came to you folks at Amptek, you would be able to kind of frame, the messaging around what that should look like. Is that true?
Yeah, and the whole thing is really, when people think about video production, they think about making a video. Typically, it's okay, we're going to write the message, and then we're going to deliver it. And because we're offering what we're calling a personality video, it's not so much about getting the messaging as much as it is getting the person into a state
where they're being real and, yeah, authentic. Like the whole thing about it is being authentic, so that, and natural and comfortable, so that people, can see how you would be, maybe to work with, just to have lunch with, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of getting them a snapshot of what they're like when their guard is down, or when they're in a state of flow.
So they know that they're gonna have fun when they go golfing together.
Yeah, that's powerful. And then I wanted to talk a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't call you folks a startup because you've been having a lot of success doing this, but the tagline is where book smarts and street smarts collide in the show. And we have a lot of people that want to start a business or need to be better at running their business as operators. But what are some of the things that were kind of a surprise as you started this endeavor that maybe you wish you did over, or you knew a little bit more about? Because we're not often taught in, how to be entrepreneurs, or how to, you have an idea, but now you got to have a company and you've got to try to create something. So I was just curious about any knowledge that you've accumulated in your startup journey.
I could speak on this one, at least to start. All right, so with anything to do with video production, before this company existed, it's a dedicated amount of time that you have to spend. You have to get a lot of equipment. Usually, if it's virtual, maybe there's less equipment. There's a lot that goes into it. It's usually long filming sessions. And for example, when I first met Mike and Heather, they did a session with me, and it was like 3 hours and then they broke that out into content. So it's a very dedicated experience. You're on the spot, so you have a lot of pressure. So this company, while we do have the 30-second video for the LinkedIn profile, which is a great solution, what we really created here is high frequency and scalable video output, video solutions, video headshots. So we built the company with a back-end process that can take on a large quantity of customers. So I'm not talking like 5 or 10, right? Because if you have a traditional video production company, in order to have 5 or 10 customers, you're going to have to dedicate a lot of time to them, and have long sessions and possibly be there physically. So this has to be a virtual solution with a really high frequency output with the quality and top of mind. It just hasn't been done yet. So we created it. So we break out Mike, Guy, and Heather, we broke down what's it going to take to create a scalable video headshot solution. So what we did is we broke it down, and we actually have that solution. And that's what makes us different, is that we're able to produce a high quality video that really hits on who somebody is instead of what service or product they offer, to bring back that humanistic and that natural conversation, or someone can get to know you with this short 30-second video before they even meet you. So it's super powerful.
So Nat, and folks, what is interesting is you, as you started the company, it wasn't just doing the video shots, but you kind of view yourself more as a technology company with a scalability kind of runway that when you had the forethought in the beginning, you had this concept, but then you tried to figure out, how it could be scaled compared to like the one-off off of the phone. And so approaching it almost like a technology company startup in a lot of ways.
It is. We actually had heavy development. We started the company because really what this is it's an engine. We could talk some specifics about how it's built, but of course some of the internals are proprietary.
Yeah.
It is an engine that can take on thousands and thousands of licensing. So that's what we built.
Mhm.
We built the scalable model, then we tested it, and then now we've paid customers.
Mhm. And what are some of the things that if you could do over in your kind of lifespan that you just wish someone came back to you and said, you do it this way or not? Is there any kind of hard lessons? Usually the ones that are the most powerful, the ones that cost a lot of money. But what are some of the surprises or obstacles that you folks have kind of had to go through in your journey?
I'll start, and then Mike, you want to take it. I'd say one of the big obstacles just in general is stop second guessing so much and just try something, lock it in, and then fail and learn. But it locks something in because what happens is there's hesitations if you don't lock something in. And so that's what I wish I could give myself advice from the past is just try it instead of letting it sit in the back of your head, keeping you from potentially coming up with other ideas because you can't make a decision which way you want to move forward, whether that's developing a solution, trying out a product or service. It could be in anything. It could be a sales process. Just try it out because you won't know unless you try. And you have to take your pride away. Because when you actually try something, kind of like control groups and studies, when you actually try it, you get all these little gold nuggets of value. So that's what I would say would be very beneficial for me.
Nat, do you and for folks, do you think that it's a kind of a situation where like a lot of people they try to do too many things early on and not like master their core competency before they add like ancillary services and things like that? Is that something that you folks experienced?
I think we're really trying to just focus on this one thing right now. I know sometimes they'll talk about like, oh, and we could add this too and this too. And it's like, no, let's just focus on, because we already do the ancillary stuff, separately. So this is pretty focused.
Well, so one thing that I know Nate was, what he was just saying, he was talking to me. So I've been in video production as a freelancer for a long time. So I've had a business, but I kind of haven't had a business because it's more or less been the two of us. I haven't had employees. I haven't had systems or teams. Nate's been around the block a couple of times creating companies at scale. So the beauty of us coming together, and I mean, this is for your listeners who are wanting to grow companies and stuff. So I'll get real. It's like Nate has been a blessing for me, helping me not overthink things, forcing me to work on the business instead of in the business. And it's been really fun to get, and part of the secret here was scaling video production sounds insane because everything's custom. But when we've narrowed down the focus to like, my favorite restaurants are places that only specialize in one thing. Like Sally's Pizza in New Haven. People stand outside, down the street. They only sell pizza there. You want a salad? No, we don't do that. Like, I love the idea of the specialty where you video headshots. Having that focus lets us scale it because we can put the teams and systems together to get it done. And then now looking at it like, okay, pulling strings to make things better and just, like I said, looking at it like a business instead of custom video production has been a game changer for me.
Yeah, the number one reason that businesses don't succeed is because they're undercapitalized. And when you start a business, it's bootstrapped, and you're beg, borrowing, stealing, making it happen. But how have you handled like the capital part? Because there is cost to start anything. Like how do you overcome that? And maybe some suggestions of some things that you had to think about as you started this.
I could take that, or if you want to, Mike.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I've built like a LinkedIn company. I'm a fan of very low overhead companies. It's not hard to do. What startups do, and they fail a lot, is what they try to create a business without proving the concept first. So Mike, before we started this company, Mike and I set out to figure out what that video would look like. So we created our own first, or we took some pre-existing video and created these 30-second videos and made sure they look good. We validated that it's actually something that somebody would want or need, because there's a lot of startups out there, and some of my buddies even have these companies, but they just decide that it's an idea that's going to work without getting a controlled group or validating that somebody's actually going to want what they have.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece to it. And as far as costs, we're a very low overhead company. And what I mean by that is our raw costs are really for like the development time, I guess. If we, the softwares that we use that every company needs, it's very minimal what we use. Our project management tools, our CRM, those things are really our costs, because we have contractors to work each stage of our solution, and those contractors only get paid per hour. So we know exactly what our overhead is per license. So if we're making X amount per video, then we know that our raw cost, no matter what, is not a different amount. So let's say 30% expenses to sales and all the contractors, and all the rest is left profit. So we don't need to necessarily hire full time. And it's kind of nice because we have training set up where we can hire somebody and plug them into the process pretty quickly and get them up to speed so that they're very professional and they fit the company culture and that they're successful. And we've got really good feedback for those that work for us.
Hey, Nate, I want to point out though, in addition to be undercapitalized, the point that you made about proof of concept, and it is true. A lot of people have this idea or an invention or whatever, start a company, but they don't really know if there's a market for it or how big the market could be. So they spend all this time creating the perfect mousetrap to only realize that there isn't a market there that's sustainable or going to generate revenue. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out, because I do see that a lot. People with, I hear it all the time in my day job, that someone has an invention or wants to create something, and then they get incorporated and they put all this money into it and they realize it never goes anywhere.
Yeah, another thing that's really important is not to get distracted. As soon as you start a company, everybody just wants to, Mike and I were talking about this earlier this week, everybody wants your energy, right? So you're looking, as an owner of a company, anybody who's willing to listen to you. But they're usually in it for themselves. And we're talking about distractions such as ads, marketing companies, people who think that they could benefit. They see you as a dollar sign. But these are the people who will listen to you because they might benefit from what you have. So you think that everything's good because you have all this energy, but it's really not making progress. You're not actually going or getting to a place where you're going to be greatly revenue generating. It's just noise. It's clutter. It's really straightforward. Sam Owen, he owns consulting.com, but he has this video about if you have a plant, and then you have weeds on top of it, because each thing that's distraction and noise is covering your plant. So then eventually you just have a pile of weeds and you can't even see your plant anymore. And the plant represents what you originally were trying to do. So it's very, to take a few deep breaths and think about it or meditate or whatever. What am I actually trying to do? Who is the customer and how do I get it to them and provide that value? Because you're just gonna have all these distractions and just get rid of them and get back to your plant, your core. So.
Now, oftentimes when people start businesses, they have some kind of a vision to get out of to sell it or to have a liquidity event and things like that. Is that something that you guys ever germinate around, to use your plant analogy? If you are trending as a technology company and you have subscriptions and recurring revenue, is there somebody out there as a partner that you kind of if it's Meta or somebody out there that could partner with you or take you guys out at some point?
You go ahead, Mike.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's pretty straightforward to me.
we certainly have talked about it. We're not, I don't know if the question is, are we currently talking to somebody about it now? I mean, I know that's in
No,
our,
I guess the question is, when you start a business, a lot of people have the desire, say, look, we want to be at 10 million revenue. And then if somebody comes along with an offer, or wants to partner with us, like, did you think about that in the beginning when you started this endeavor, or is that not part of your thinking at the moment?
Yes. So we're looking at, I think in the next 3 years, we want to hit $50 million annually. That's the target. Because I ran the numbers, and that's way more than doable based on how many individuals are out there that need this. Now, you did ask in regards to where does this go in the future? Where this goes in the future is we're talking about streamlined video headshots. And our scope right now, just because for a startup, it's important to be very niche. Just like the clutter thing in the weeds, oh, we could create a video for, this, or we could create videos for this platform, or like you could literally get all this, like, let's just say, Mike, we talked about this, like it's like dating profiles and stuff. Maybe people want these, like, it's like, but we're just going all these different directions, but we're just staying in a lane because that's how you become successful. You stay in a lane, put all your energy to it. So where we see this going is, this model is so unique and so proprietary that we could use this for a wild variety of things. Meta, sure. I mean, we could create a solution where somebody in the metaverse has some sort of introductory video, and it's actually who that person is in real life. Or it could be virtual, headshots. I mean, now you got me thinking.
Yeah, no, I'm distracting you, I guess, too. I'm the weed in that analogy.
I sleep like 3 hours a night because I can't stop thinking about stuff. My girlfriend thinks I need medicated.
Yeah, well, hey, I gotta tell you, most people that run companies have big ADD.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting. What are some of the partnerships that you think about, like, that would be helpful to you folks? I was just thinking top of mind, maybe like a PR firm, where they're kind of have a strategy across their C-suite or whoever that may be. But what kind of partnerships, like, if you could wave that magic wand and say, this is who we'd love to talk to, is there anybody out there that you can identify now?
Well, I'll tell you that, Fortune 1000 companies are great for us. What we need is we do sell to individuals these video headshots, but we are more looking, we're in the earlier stages of this startup. But we're looking for true partnerships with companies that have, a large quantity of folks that are very active within social media, or specifically LinkedIn. Those are companies that we need to partner with. So PR firms would be great. Anything to solidify what we're doing in the most simple way possible. The simplicity is key here. And we believe, and based on conversations, it's really not that difficult for someone to grasp, as far as the solution goes, what they get, right? We're creating, look, you'll get a 30-second video that you can upload to social media. That's our solution. That's our pitch. That's what we tell people. How do we do that? They ask. Oh, well, you're going to go through a process where we, make sure that you look, sound, and you say things that are great, so that by the end you have a professional video, and it only take about a week. And that's it. It's very straightforward to explain the solution. Now, if they ask, more questions, we can go into it. But we're looking for a true partnership with the right company.
Yeah, I'd be heading into Remax or Century 21 and there's so many industries where there's a corporate headquarters
Yeah.
that has huge distribution, but that could be a place to go. Like I was just thinking real estate agents is, they're really have a hard time standing out because there's so many of them, but that's
I'll
my
tell you what.
unsolicited idea. Yeah, right. Something more scalable like that would be
It's
really
very
interesting.
It's very interesting because, we're talking about, just to be realistic, right? I don't, want to beat around the bush. We need to partner with these large Fortune 1000, Fortune 5000 companies. So how do we do it? Now I thought about it, right? Well, for years and years, I've had a LinkedIn company, a LinkedIn consulting company. Through that, I've been able to make contacts and companies like Remax, companies that are what we need, but not the solution that we had might have been a smaller partnership or not a good fit, but they know who I am. So basically, we just have all this, they're just there is an opportunity for us, and they were there all along. Well, then it makes it really, kind of simple to get in touch and introduce our solution to it. So that's what me and, we're at an interesting pivotal point here, because for the last just few months, we first built the solution, then we tested it, right? Like with it, we validated it, then we built the solution, and then we gave out some free licenses to just try to test our process, and we learned a lot. So we changed some things, and then we began, we deployed sales team to then get paying customers. And so we wanted to validate what we have before taking on such a big account, and then just being on fire. Like we wanted to make sure that we sorted out the issues, and not and be more patient about it, and then feel prepared, which is we're beyond.
So now you're ready to scale across, since you've worked your processes out, and now it's scalable out there, which is great.
You could throw, it's our model, you could throw thousands of people at it and we can get them done in just a month, and they will all be done with high quality and complete organization.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Well, your company's information, Amptek, is going to be in the body of the show, but for our listeners who are interested in knowing more about your services, what's the best way to get a hold of you folks?
AmptekProductions.com.
And that will be AMPTECK Productions. Did I spell that correctly?
Yeah.
It's on a shirt.
I know he was.
Yeah,
it's right on the shirt.
I could probably
it will be in the body of the show. Yeah. No, I can see it correctly. That's great. I'd love to have you guys back. I'm a big fan of what you do. Obviously, I stumbled on you folks on LinkedIn, and I liked the videos, and I thought it was really cool. I mean, I don't know the actual statistics, but I know video, if you think of the things, obviously, like the 30-second snippets and TikTok and Instagram stories, and I mean, video is everything, and the industry really hasn't changed a lot with these static websites. When you started a company a long time ago, you arrived if you had a website, but that's like so 80s, and I think now people they want the video, they want to see the color, the personalities, or the people they can work with. And, there's so much noise out there that people they want to be able to vet that out without having to be wrong, and video, what do they say? Picture speaks 1,000 words. And I don't know what video is, probably even more than that, right?
10,000 words.
10,000 words. Right. So with that said, I want to thank you guys all. I know it's a little quick, but I would love to get you back for an update when you scale this thing to the Remaxes and the bigger companies in the world. It sounds like you have the bandwidth and the expertise to really scale it instead of being, a hobby, because one in a couple different videos here or there is a hobby. It's not really a business, but now it is with the scalability.
Also create a lot of job opportunities and give people experience with things they love and enjoy.
That's right.
Good.
Well, folks, thank you so much for your time today. And like I said, for the listeners, if you want to get this show, we are nationally syndicated through iHeart, Google, Stitch, SoundCloud, Apple, basically anywhere that you can get your podcast, you can get this show. And in Boston, at least, we're the #1 entrepreneurial podcast in the city. And we are now also in Canada too. So we've got a little bit of a global reach, and the cities are growing pretty fast. But folks, thanks again. And I appreciate your time, and I look forward to getting an update.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.